Hey, guess what, Shane? Just like that, we're live and on the air, man. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Big 12 Football with the voice of college football. I'm Joey, and right over there beside of me is Mr. Shane. Mr. Shane, what's going on, brother?
Not much, Joey. Just waiting for this Big 12 mess to kind of iron itself out, guys.
So we do have like a few things here. Let's talk about this first. Let's take this thing and break it down real quick because I do want to talk about one thing real quick, and that is basketball search at West Virginia underway. Bob Huggins and Ken Kendrick from the Arizona Diamondbacks have been feuding back and forth, right? So Ken Kendrick said a few things that probably should have just been better left unsaid, in all honest opinion. But at the same time, he's got a right to express his feelings. He wasn't happy with Bob Huggins after his incident in Cincinnati when he went on his tirade about gays or whatever he might want to say he did. But then you have the DUI a month later, and and King Kendrick's like he should have been fired the first time. I would have fired him in my organization the first time that happened when he went on his homophobic slurs. The DUI, well, that's the second time he's lost a job thanks to a DUI. One Cincinnati, one at West Virginia. No, he should not come back to West Virginia. Now, that's kind of in a nutshell what Ken Kendrick said, right? And he's a biggest donor at West Virginia, probably the biggest donor, right? So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on Bob Huggins? Do you think he's finished? Do you think he'll ever coach again? Because I'm kind of hearing
Yeah.
rumors now that there's a big possibility. Like I know there's a lot of rumors about, hey, Ohio State, Louisville, all these teams might go after Bob Huggins. I don't know. I'm hearing now that they may not be interested because of his past.
Well, if I'm a big program and you're paying someone $4 million and you can still get quality coaches, and not to mention ageism. Okay, guys, if Bob Huggins had these issues and he was 35, it would be a little different than someone who's 70 and still has these issues. Okay.
Right.
He looks healthy, he looks good. He might be, have the ship righted, but shame on me, once, but the old saying, this would be the third,
Right.
this would be the opportunity for his third time to fail. And he, had a problem at Cincinnati, got dismissed there, looked like things were going in the right direction. And then, man, it just breaks my heart. But I think he's pretty much done unless you had said a big program like Ohio State, Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think if I'm a mid-major program, if I am say Drexel, or I'm Akron or Toledo, or some smaller school, I would definitely reach out to Bob Huggins, and because that's instant credibility. It gets you a higher tier player, because he's developed players like Kenyon Martin, and
Mm-hmm.
So guys, I don't think he's going to be playing in a Big 10, a Big 12, ACC school, maybe the Big East, guys, or Missouri Valley, or
But let me ask you
guys, I
this: what
just
do you
don't
think,
think.
Shane? Let's say the likelihood. Let's say there's a strong likelihood that West Virginia hires Mark Bennington, right, from James Madison. What would be the chances James Madison turn around and hire Bob Huggins?
That would be like one of those Disney switcheroo movies where, like, with Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that would be crazy, Joey. That would be you couldn't even script that. But no, I don't think he would take I don't think James Madison would take him.
yeah. Probably
I
not.
think it would take another year, maybe another year of things kind of just calming down. I think he's doing the right thing by not fueling the flames by suing anybody and denying he's
Mm-hmm.
suing anybody, and just having fish fries, raising money for charity, smiling, attending games. I think he still stays involved in basketball, but I don't really know. But there's like a cutoff there. You don't want to stay out of basketballs too long. But I don't know, guys. It's a different world we're living in, and we talked on other shows about football changing. The coaches are changing in football, and I think Bob Huggins crested that change in college basketball with the NIL and exceeded all expectations at getting the recruiting class he had in May.
Yeah.
Only to lose them in June. So
that was a shame, and both you and I both are West Virginia fans, so we hated to see that happen to our team. But hey, things happen. I think our basketball program will be back at West Virginia. Big 12 basketball, once again, the best conference in the country, without a doubt. Without a doubt, the best conference in the country. Without a doubt, some really strong teams in this conference: Cincinnati, Houston, two of the newcomers, BYU. My goodness gracious, these guys are good. And then you take Kansas lost last night, right? Kansas lost to Cincinnati last night. Am I right? And the Big 12
lost by 20, and Cincinnati, West Virginia had them. They had them dead to rights. They just couldn't hang on to the lead. So let me run through here, Joey. This is the Big 12 fan show. We usually talk about football, but I cannot not talk about the best conference in college sports for basketball is the Big 12. So you have Houston is head and shoulders above anyone else. They are fantastic. They're so fun to watch. Iowa State came out of nowhere. They had a conference record of 13-5, and I think the Houston maybe had three losses, so 15 wins. So Houston's won 9 straight games. Their overall record's 29-3. Iowa State's 24-7. Baylor's 22-9. Texas Tech, 22-9, or 23-9. Kansas is 22-10. BYU's 23-10. So guys, you have literally
wonder how that compares. Just out of curiosity, how that compares to Big Ten, ACC, and SEC top 5. I'm just wondering how those records
I'm going to real quick. We have Cincinnati is going to get into the tournament, I believe. Okay. Now UCF is the only one that I think is on the outside looking at it, and I haven't read any of the bubble brackets. This is going off what Shane thinks. UCF is 17-15. Okay. You have UCF, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia. Definitely not dancing. They're not going to the dance.
Right.
But you have every other team in the Big 12 is making it to the tournament. And that's with West Virginia beaten, given Kansas and Texas each a bad loss. So, you do that in the Big East, you have 2 big losses, or you do that in the ACC, you're on the fringe, you're on that bubble. I don't know. I think the Big 10 will get a lot of teams in, and my feelings are the Big 10 and Big 12 are the teams that are going to have the biggest run in the tournament. They're going to go the distance. So,
yeah. So I'm trying to find, and I don't know why I never look up basketball stuff. I'm just not a basketball guy that looks that stuff up. I'm wondering though, what are the top 5 SEC? Okay, so here we go. SEC basketball, Tennessee number 1, 14-4. All right, so the number 1 teams already got 4 losses, and Kentucky's 13-5, who has 5 losses. What do we have? We had 3 teams with 3 losses, right?
Well, let me go back. Yeah, you have right now you
Houston,
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with more than 22 wins, and we have Houston with 3 losses. But Houston ran the gauntlet of the Big 12 and came through with 3 losses. If you're 24-7, like Iowa State is, and you are in the Big 12, to me, That is a solid schedule. Any 23 wins, 22 or 23 wins. If you've won most of your games in the, and I'm going to look here at the win percentage in the conference. If you win most of your conference games, you're talking you're talking a solid resume. And Kansas State and Oklahoma went 8 for 10 in Big 12, and they're gonna make the tournament. Okay, Texas went 500. Guys, Texas went 500 in the Big 12, and they're going to be like a six seed. Kansas, always a powerhouse, went 10-8 this year. BYU went 10-8. Let's give BYU some credit. Coming in, not familiar with the Big 12, coming in, muscling in, and doing so well this year. I mean, boy, I can't, on top of my head, I'm trying to think who their coach is, because West Virginia should be giving him a call. I just had it up who it was, but there are some other names being thrown out there for West Virginia's coaching search, but I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, because as soon as we say it's someone, it's gonna be somebody else.
Only thing I've been telling everybody is I think it's going to be quick, and sure enough, I told him, I said Josh Allard will be. I told him, I said he'll probably be fired in the morning, and he was
the night before. We talked about it.
Well, I figure we'll have a coach in the next week, and I figure we will have a coach in the next week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We were talking about it last week, and I asked you if it would be after the tournament, but we thought maybe they'd let him go pretty quick. And we said if they lose, which I think they will, I think they're going to let him go, and they did. But there was who put that out there? Between the Years put out a nice tribute to Josh Eilert, and really just it was respectful. It was fantastic. He's a class act.
He is. He's a good guy. And, it's just a shame. It's a shame that he had to take over a program that had a lot of trouble going on at that moment, and lost some players. Had a great class and had to lose them. Had players that had to sit out until a court hearing. Then he had players with broken wrist. Right. He had players. Battle gets to come back and then gets sick. Aycock comes in first game and has a health condition and goes out for several games. I mean, he just had so many things thrown at him this year that I'm gonna be honest with you. If Bob Huggins would have had a team like this year, he would have had the same problems and the same problems that Josh Eilert had, we might have had a better record, but we still wouldn't have made the tournament, I don't believe.
Yeah,
we just weren't good enough in the Big 12.
Bob would have been pissing and moaning, and he would have been really grumpy. And I would give Bob Huggins, with his experience, 3 more wins, right? So that would put West Virginia at what? 12 and 15, so
still no tournament. Yeah. If he's any coach in the country dealt the same thing as Josh, it's going to have. I don't care if it's Bill Self himself. Bill Self is coaching the West Virginia Mountaineers and has the same troubles as Josh Eilert had this year with holding on to players and keeping players free of injuries and free of sickness and all this stuff, and free of court battles. So even Bill Self wouldn't have been able to do much for this team this year. So Josh Eilert. Hey, our hats off to you, Josh Eilert. You did a fantastic job. You represented West Virginia very well in your year he was here. I can't wait, because I do feel like 5 to 10 years from now, you're going to be back in Morgantown winning some games, Josh Eilert. I really believe that.
I think he's going to move on to he's probably going to get a mid-major job. If he has a good 5-year run there, I think a big program is going to snatch him up because of his Big 12 experience. He'd be coaching in Big 10, ACC, Big 12 again. He's going to go to a mid-major, coach these kids up, have a couple runs, maybe in the Sun Belt, and win a championship. Hey, he might go to James Madison.
So, as far as the Big 12 is concerned, the only coach As far as extensions and stuff this year, it's been Neil Brown, I believe. I don't believe any other coach signed any contracts or anything. Neil Brown he took a little pay cut, but got an extra year in there on his contract. So we'll see how that goes out. It'll play out for him this year. They cut a lot of stuff where they can fire him pretty easily now. I mean, it's not going to be like $20 million buyout like it was before. So, all right, so that's about it for basketball. That's and now we're transitioning into football for you guys. So we had Brown, like I say, with a good contract extension. Now we've got to talk about this new thing.
Yeah, well, Lance Leopold's contract is good for, I think, 7 years. So
that's right. They did sign him. That's right. Lance Leopold did sign a new contract and stayed with Kansas. So, and congratulations to Kansas, man. That's a great hold on
great
to
hire.
Because look, Lance Leopold could have been a lot of places, and you held on to him at Kansas. That's amazing. So congratulations on that. All right, so now let me get in here. And let's go to this right here for a second. The new college football playoff confirmed 12 teams called the 5-7 format. The 5 highest ranked conference champions will receive automatic bids. The 7 highest ranked teams remaining will round out the 12-team format. That is the 12 team. Now, they're voting tomorrow, right, to decide whether or not they're in 2026, taking it to a 14-team playoff. Now, here's how. There are a couple of different scenarios for this. It's called a 3-3-2-2, 1 and 3 format. This is one scenario. Big Ten and SEC will be guaranteed 3 slots each in that 14-team playoff. Big 12 and ACC will each be guaranteed 2 slots each. I'll take it. That's fantastic. The group of 5 will have 1 slot, and there will be 3 at-large picks. Plus, the SEC, Big Ten, SEC teams receive first-round bye. Now, here's what I don't understand that. 6 Big Ten SEC teams will receive first-round byes. So what if they're not the highest rated? So they still get the bye? Let's say TCU's number 3, Oklahoma State's number 5. So we got 2 teams out of the Big 12 in there, and they're higher rated than these teams, and these teams are going to get the bye. I don't understand that. I'm not understanding that. I don't
understand that either. That has to be explained to me. That's the WTF thing. You're like, like really, like what does that? I mean, so if Auburn has 2 losses and wins the SEC, okay, with 2 losses, and they're ranked, say, 5th, you're gonna is that gonna be your 3rd team, or say, I don't know how that would work. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's saying 6 Big Ten and SEC teams would receive first-round byes. I just can't figure that out because it's not always going to be Big Ten and SEC that are ranked in there in the top.
No, it's the top 3 of that conference to get a bye automatically. Right. I think that's
and that makes no sense to me. So let's say Clemson's number. Let's just put a scenario out there.
Let's do
Clemson's number 1. Florida State's number 6. West Virginia's number 3 and TCU's number 5. So West Virginia, Florida State, Clemson, and TCU don't get a bye, but those teams that from the Big Ten and SEC who might be ranked 9th, 10th, and 11th are going to get a bye week. That absolutely makes no sense to me whatsoever. I can't figure out where that's coming from. And maybe I'm looking at it. I mean, I hadn't heard that till I read this. This is not my graphic here. This is actually Frank Beer's graphic, but that's okay. I trust Frank, and here's what he says. 6 Big Ten SEC teams will receive first-round byes. So I'm lost on that. So I'm anxious to figure that one out.
Until the last of the bye. You know, and I was wondering how that was going to play out with the extra couple teams going in. And I really feel the 12 team playoff should be the standard for a couple years before you adjust it.
Yeah.
Let this conference
and so
realignment thing
they're talking. Right. And so let me see if this is it. No, that's not it. Where is the other one? I had a graphic up about that one earlier. Remember, Showing the new one too. Did this show the new one? Yeah, under discussion. That's right. The 14 team playoff, and now that 6 Big 10 teams and SEC teams will receive their first round byes. That's if we go to this 14 team playoff that's getting voted on tomorrow, and then who knows if they're even going to leave that scenario in. I would hope they wouldn't even leave that in. That makes no sense to me. You want to give the first 6 teams, the top 6 teams in the country, a bye? I agree with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It should be
I don't
based
like
off of
bye
rank.
weeks, but you got to do something with a 14 team playoff. You have to have a bye week in there. No doubt about it.
Yeah, you go by ranking. I don't want to see what they do in the NCAA basketball bracket where they seed guys based off of what they think they are. Like, oh, this is a 4 seed, this is a 5 seed. Crap. You rank them before that. And what your ranking is at the end of the year, that's the seed you get. That's what I feel,
So someone called in to Golden Blue Dude show 4 years ago, 5 years ago or so. And when this conference realignment was being talked about, it was long before everybody knew Oklahoma and Texas were leaving. But everybody was talking that, hey, West Virginia belongs in the ACC. This one belongs there. This one belongs there. Everybody was talking at the time. Well, I remember somebody calling in and saying they need to change the playoffs. We need to have a 12-team playoff, and the top 12 teams go. But what we need to do, really, and this was his suggestion, was play in 8-game regular seasons, and all 8 games are conference games. And the best teams that are conference, the top teams that are conference, all get a bye week the first week, but you have a 64-round playoff, and you have 64 teams in the playoff. So you have 8 regular season games, and then you have all these playoff games, and see who can win it. All right. So there's problems with that, obviously, right? I mean, because some teams are only going to get to play 8 games, so there's not going to be much money involved for them. Some teams are going to get to play 9 games, but that's going to be it for them, or 10 games. I like the thought of something like that, to where, hey, all of a sudden we can have a bigger playoff system and things, but at the same time, we sure don't need to go to no 64-team playoff in football, and we don't need to go to anything that's going to take away from college football as we know it. Like, what I'm talking about is bowl games and stuff like that. So I'm worried about this 12 and 14-team play. I'm worried about this 14-team playoff. How are they going to shape that up with bowls? Because bowls, this is what's got me. Bowls pay, right? Bowls pay money. So if you go to the Rose Bowl, you're going to make $7 or $8 million per team just for going to the Rose Bowl. Now, if the Rose Bowl becomes part of this playoff, do they get the $7 or $8 million for being in the Rose Bowl per team, plus the college football playoff money? Now, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's what they're doing. But I don't know. This is a fan zone. I'm not being an analyst, and I didn't look this up. I'm just trying to figure out what happens with the bowl money at that time. Do the bowls just keep the money, and now all of a sudden it's going to TV revenue for these bowls only? Or
I don't know how that works, Joey. I was thinking that too, and the only thing I could think of is whoever broadcasts that. Say Amazon gets the rights to the Rose Bowl. They'll pay out those teams. But if you're in the college playoff system, I think what they're talking about is all that money rolls up into the college football playoff, and then you're based off of. I would think based off of how many games you play is how much money you get. I don't know how that would work.
See, that's what's got me too. It's these bowls. We don't want to lose our bowl traditions, right? We want these bowl games, but we want them to mean something. And if they're playoff games, then that's great because they mean something. But at the same time,
the Cotton Bowl used to mean something. The Cotton Bowl used to be a big deal, and now it's like you get a team that's 8-4.
Yeah.
So I mean, a Cotton Bowl in the '80s used to be a big deal. So let me real quick.
Thank everybody for tuning in. We got late crowd coming in, starting to come in now. We are streaming on 2 channels tonight. We're on the Big 12 channel and we're on the West Virginia channel. But this is our very last week on the West Virginia channel for this show. So we're going to move this show over to the Big 12 exclusively after this week. So we're talking about West Virginia a lot this week because we are on the West Virginia channel. But come next week, we won't be on the West Virginia channel. We can kind of stay clear of West Virginia a little bit more, even though we do love them and we will talk about them. But I just want to let everybody know that next week we will not be on the West Virginia channel with this show on Thursday night. It will be only on the Big 12 channel. But TriStar, seen TriStar come in earlier tonight and said, "What's up, gentlemen? TriStar, thanks for being here." John Kelly, Jackson Johnson. There's some other people. Appreciate you being here. We got our normal crowd that follows us and comes in here with us quite often, and we really do appreciate you. Help us build this show. Help us build this channel. If you would just tell your friends, your neighbors, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, whatever, sub us up and tune in every once in a while. Just
have your dog subscribe and like, guys.
Yeah, have your dog subscribe. create your dog a Gmail account and have him subscribe up to us and have your dog sitting there watching the show. I'll put my dog on the air so we'll have something to look at. But anyway,
West Virginia's basketball team needs some dogs.
Let me ask this question to you, Shane. With all these changes happening, and let's say it does, let's just say that scenario happens. This scenario right here. Let me bring it back up here. Let me bring this up right here. Let's just say a scenario happens under discussion to 14 team college football playoff. Let's just say that happens. 3 teams for the SEC and Big 10, 2 for the Big 12 and ACC, 1 per group of 5, and then 3 at large. And let's say the 6 Big 10 and SEC teams receive first round buys. Now, we also already know that with this contract, the SEC and Big 10 are going to get 58% of the money. The ACC is going to get 17%. The Big 12 is going to get 15%. And then the remainder of the money, the other 10%, whatever is left over, is going to be divided up between Group of 5 and Notre Dame. So what I'm trying to figure out, though, is you think about if you think about that now Florida State, now the ACC is making more money than the Big 12. Right? Where before they was kind of a wash, it was kind of even. Maybe the Big 12 was a little bit ahead even. But with this new contract, if this contract passes tomorrow, then in 2026, the ACC will be worth more money and make more money than the Big 12. Not by a substantial margin, but it does give them more money in the ACC to play with. Now, does that hold Florida State, the ACC, that extra money? Will it hold Florida State there? What if they give Florida State that whole extra 2% over top of it?
It's per team. Is the way I'm reading it now. It's per team. And Big 10 gets 15%, which equates to $12 million per school. ACC gets 13 to 14 million at 17%. The SEC and Big 10 get 22 million. So guys, that's $10 million difference. That's like 40. That's 45% more. And what
think about that? That's your coach. That's your coach in the SEC. Most SEC and Big 10 coaches are making $9-10 million a year. Their coach is paid for it. Their coach is paid for it, but it's just that.
Right.
Where the Big 12
things that go with that, guys.
Right, but now the Big 12 and ACC can't do that.
It's death by 1,000 paper cuts or by slow starvation, and you're just going to see them just pull away just a little bit and a little bit more until the ACC and Big 12 are cannibalizing each other in a power struggle for that last pillar. And we had talked before, is this going to be a 2-conference empire, or is it going to be a 3-conference empire? Is it going to be 3 24-team super conferences, or is it going to be a 30-team and a 30-team super conference? And then you're going to have, if it's 2, you're going to have your Kansases, your Arizonas, your West Virginias, your Cincinnatis, your BYUs, your Utahs, your Pitts, your Virginia Techs, all kind of just nervous. Are they going to, NC State, are they going to be able to partake? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So they was talking about too, and I do want to bring this up, but simply because we talked about this last week, but I want to bring it up one more time and explain this one more time to people so that everybody understands this. So they had talked about possibility of $100 million a year teams that make $100 million a year in revenue.
We talked about
Those are going to be the power conferences, right? Or the power teams in the power conference. And we talked about, would West Virginia be in that? Well, they made $108 million in 2022. Or no, I'm sorry, $106 million in 2022. So everybody says they're in. Well, not so quick, and here's why. Because $8 million of that is subsidized. So that takes them to $98 million. Because they subsidized 8 million and they did 106. That takes them to 98 million. Here's the problem with that. West Virginia don't even subsidize a lot. $8 million is nothing. That's hardly anything subsidized. We make enough money off athletics to pay for everything. There are other schools that are a lot bigger than West Virginia, even, or in our mind are, that subsidize their football programs even more than that.
TCU.
Some as much as $30,000 and $40,000. And when you're talking about a $30,000 subsidized off, and you say, you look them up and you say, wow, they made $115 million. West Virginia only made $106. So they're bigger than West Virginia. Not true. They've got a $30 million subsidy in there. And that $30 million subsidy now takes that down to $85 million a year. That $115 million they were making now becomes $85 million a year. West Virginia is still up there at $98 million, even after you take off their subsidies. So they're not bigger and stuff. And I'm using West Virginia as an example here. I know that all the other teams in the Big 12 are great. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, all you guys are fine. You don't subsidize a lot, but you do subsidize. Some of you subsidize substantially more than West Virginia. There are some we don't know, right? There are some private schools in the Big 12, TCU, for instance. We just don't have a clue. But subsidizing those programs, are they going to count that subsidy? So if they do ever go to this scenario where they say you make $100 million a year, you're a power conference, you're in a power conference. If they ever do go to that, are they going to include subsidies on that? If they don't include subsidies and they say you got to have $100 million, West Virginia could be out of that, as well as a lot of Big 12 teams, a whole lot. But at the same time, so will over half of the SEC and over half of the Big 10. Think about this, because their subsidies are so much in some of those.
Absolutely, like your Northwesterns and your Rutgers. But I had just thought of something that might change the dynamics of the ACC with this second iteration of the playoff scenario, with them divvying up the group of 5 split between 9%. And then the independent schools have a split. It said on CBS that Notre Dame would get $12 million. That's the same amount as the Big 12. They would make more money if they were part of the ACC. They would get that 13 to 14 million. So it benefits Notre Dame as far as the playoff picture goes to be part of the ACC. So would that shift the kind of would that shift things and change things for the ACC, make them a more attractive conference if they could get Notre Dame to not be independent anymore? However, being independent is written into the contract of the of this discussion.
Well, if you think about it,
ratify maybe tomorrow.
If you think about it, that 10% off of this playoff thing, 10% goes to Notre Dame and the other group of 5 teams.
Group of 5, yeah.
and Notre Dame has already come out and said it's more money for us. It's a lot more money for us to take that small portion. So they're probably not going to get as much as they would if they was in the ACC, right? Although really they might be getting about the same amount if you figure it up.
Might be.
Probably not going to be that much.
They have their NBC deal during the season. So, I don't know. That's something that,
But I'm saying, what I'm saying is, so you've got the ACC getting 17%, and you've got Notre Dame and the group of 5 getting 10%. But
Notre
there's
Dame's gonna get
teams in
1% of
the
that.
SEC.
So 1 and then 9.
Right, 17 teams are going to split that, uh, how many teams are in the ACC? 16, 14, 14 or 16?
I don't know. 14.
14.
I have to look.
Okay, so 14 teams are going to split that 17%. You got Notre Dame in a group of 5 over here. I don't know what the percentages are going to be. I know that 10% of the whole thing goes to those schools, but is Notre Dame going to make as much as they would if they was in a conference? I think they're going to make more than they would if they was in a conference, just off of this playoff record. But now that doesn't mean that they're going to make more individually after their TV deals, obviously. But they don't make near as much as they do in the ACC just off their TV deal. But when you figure in that they get a full vote in power conferences, right? They are one team and they get to vote as a conference. So they're in all these meetings with the SEC,
True.
Big 10, Big 12, ACC. There's a Notre Dame head sitting there that is has as much vote as a Big 12 or SEC commissioner. Right. That's powerful right there. That's power. So do they join a conference? I don't think they do. Why would you give up that kind of power? I mean, there's no need in it.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because in a conference,
understand how the math just seems really, really tortured. You know,
it
just
does.
Seems really tortured. So
if you look at any of these TV contracts, though, they all look really tortured. I'm sitting there going, where's this money coming from for these teams? You think about a Northwestern. When's the last time you watched Northwestern play a freaking game of football? I couldn't tell you. I don't think I ever have.
I had it on for a quarter when they were good. You know, like there was a year. There was 1 year where they were decent, and I just happened to tune in and watch a quarter. But
now you're going to pay Northwestern. Now you're going to pay Northwestern after the playoffs and everything. Now you're going to pay Northwestern close to $100 million a year. And
it's not worth it
for no TV audience, no good teams, nothing, absolutely nothing. And then you got a team like Oklahoma State who wins 8, 9, 10 games every single year and are a good program.
Good basketball program,
going to make
too.
half. Are going to make half of what Northwestern makes. Kansas is going to make half of what Northwestern makes. And Kansas has got a hell of a lot better basketball program and a better football program now.
And you don't have a huge fan base. I mean, Northwestern doesn't have it.
Right.
Like, you don't see people in the Chicago market just rocking Northwestern stuff. You know, you don't see it.
Yeah.
You know,
nothing against Northwestern. Listen, if you're a Northwestern fan, great. You know, I'm not saying nothing against you. What I'm saying is where's the fairness at? What's keeping teams like I don't know, what's keeping some of these smaller teams in big conferences like the Big 12 and ACC from saying, "Hey, Big 10, why are you having paying Northwestern all that money? You know, you could invite me over, and I'll come over and make you some money."
Every time I order something on Fanatics, every time I order something like every time I go to like a lid store when I'm at like the beach or something, okay, I'm in Myrtle Beach or say, you know, I was out in Oregon State, you know, just kind of hanging out, and I'm always interested to see what the selection of hats are, and you know, oh, how much are you selling? And I was doing some research, and it just, you know, the Big Ten doesn't if you're not like Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan, you know, Purdue,
Ohio State,
they're killing it. They're and Minnesota and Wisconsin, they're selling lots of stuff, okay. But you know, other than, you know, you got brands in a lot of these conferences that are selling lots of gear, guys. Like BYU has a fanatical fan base. You know, BYU and Utah, if you go to that part of the country there, you know, they sell a lot of stuff. The SEC, every Hilljack has a Georgia Bulldog hat. They might not even be a football fan. And the girls are rocking Georgia Bulldog stuff. Auburn, same freaking thing. You know, you get overpass, you know, Columbus, Georgia, it's all Auburn stuff. Into Mississippi State. You know, LSU, anybody from Louisiana is wearing LSU stuff. From Beckley to Parkersburg, Southern Ohio, up to freaking Washington, PA. It's all Mountaineer stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that, merchandise doesn't move the needle as far as the same way eyeballs does. Like,
Yeah, it's got to. It's got to because simple reason that that's the people that are buying this stuff that makes money for these players through NIL deals, right?
mhm,
So in other words, I got on the other day and ordered me a jersey. I won't say whose it was. I ordered me a jersey from somebody, and I'm hoping and I'm sure they're going to get a percentage of that jersey now that sell that jersey, and that matters. That helps to get players in because now all of a sudden this player can say, "Look, I sold this many jerseys
yeah,
over here and made this much money just from the sale of those," and then and that helps. Rutgers, Maryland are not moving the needle in the Big Ten. Wake Forest don't move a needle in the ACC. Neither does Boston College. I mean, what the hell's Boston College offered since Doug Flutie? Absolutely nothing.
right, right, right,
So
right. Boston
I
College
just
is like
can't
a
figure
pit.
out why these right. Why are these teams? Why are
Yeah,
these teams getting so much money out of Big Ten and
yeah,
SEC, and the ACC even getting more money than the Big 12? When I think there's better brands in the Big 12 than there are in the ACC. Sure, you've got Florida State, Miami, and Clemson in the ACC, and those are three really big brands. I
yeah.
admit that. But they're no
I
bigger
went.
than West Virginia, Oklahoma State,
No, no, but
they're no bigger than West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State.
yeah,
Uh,
no, they're not. And the point the point, one of the things that proves the point is, so there's two outlets I take the kids school shopping. There's an outlet in Washington, PA, and one up off 79 North at Grove City. Okay, I always stop at the lids there, and I ask them, "What are you selling a lot of hats of?" And up in Grove City, it's Penn State, West Virginia. And I said, "What about Pitt stuff?" Occasionally. That's what they said. You got a Washington, PA. What are you selling most of? West Virginia stuff. Maybe some Penn State stuff. That's in Pennsylvania. Okay.
right.
Now, if you go out to the middle part of the state, it's all Penn State stuff. It's not selling a lot of stuff. So Pitt might be one of those programs on the outside in because they really haven't had, at least West Virginia had 15 years of being relevant and really good. You go back and there was maybe a year or two here and there where Pitt was good, but they weren't nationally recognized like West Virginia was with Pat White. And then when you have, you're looking back, you have to go back to Dan Marino before they were, exemplary. So
Right.
if you're looking at the value of the school's label as a program, that logo, West Virginia carries some statue, some credibility. Kansas has that credibility because they've been so good in basketball. You see that Jayhawk and that blue and that red, you know what that is. You know what the Y is, for BYU, and you know what the Bearcats.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just saying, like, different, brands just exude power. And when I see Kansas, I think, wow, that's a good school. They have a great sports program. When I see even now I see TCU. That wasn't the way 15, 20 years ago, but I see TCU, I think, well, Jamie Dixon has them playing good basketball. They have a
Uh,
hell of a football program. You look at that and you automatically, you know,
Do me a favor,
think,
Shane. Do me a favor. Keep talking a second. I've got my
yeah,
grandkids and stuff. Give me
yeah,
just a
yeah, yeah.
second. I'll
Go
be
ahead,
right
take
back.
care of it. But no, guys, from just like you profile everything in your life, you profile programs based off what you know of them over the past few years. You look at the Army Black Knights, you don't know that in the 40s they were the Alabama. They were just fantastic, you know, with Heisman winner after Heisman winner. You don't remember that. But, you see these programs now that I'm afraid are going to be left out of in the cold. I think of Cincinnati, I think of West Virginia, I think of Kansas, TCU, I think of a lot of teams in the Big 12, that are on that cusp, of the outside looking in. ACC, same situation. I Wake Forest and Duke are going to be outside looking in. NC State on the fringe. Boston College and Syracuse, great colleges with great storied football programs. they're not going to slip in like Rutgers. Syracuse was a hell of a lot better program than Rutgers in the 90s with Donovan McNabb and just, Jim Brown back in the 60s. So Syracuse is a storied program that is just going to be, like Army. Army, like I was saying, Joey, Army was good in the 40s. They were fantastic. They were world beaters. And now, fast forward to 2020, and we're looking at a new, your Syracuse's and your Boston Colleges are, it's like a members only jacket. It was cool then, but now it's just in someone's closet and you don't really see them much.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs that used to be good that aren't so good anymore, right? Colorado, for instance, Colorado's won a couple of national championships, but they're not so great anymore.
They were on fire in 91. Yeah.
But now you ask a Colorado fan, they're on the way up, right? Prime time supposedly has them going over there. They went from 1 win to 4 wins this year, so
yeah,
they made a +3 effort this year. They went up in the rankings and got 3 more wins. This year, can they do even better than that? We'll have to see. But I think that bottom line, there's just so many teams in the SEC and Big Ten that need to be considered that should be taken out of those conferences, or it should be considered to say, okay, wait a minute. We got teams in the Big 12 and the ACC that are a lot bigger than these teams. And how can we justify giving you guys nearly $100 million per team after the college football playoffs and everything, giving you nearly $100 million per team for teams like Northwestern and teams, that aren't going to do Arkansas. All right. I mean, come on. Arkansas is a good team. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Arkansas, but Arkansas, $100 million a year. I mean, do they deserve that? No.
Well, Vanderbilt is more I have more heartburn with Vanderbilt, guys. But so there's a term used in European soccer or British soccer, like relegation. And I became familiar with that watching the Welcome to Wrexham, which is about the Wrexham soccer club. So I'll answer your question 1 second, Tim. So if you have a losing season and you're in the bottom, you get relegated to the next lower tier of conference play. So you have different tiers. Now, if you win that lower conference, you get relegated up. So those bottom two are constantly shifting. So you can get relegated up or you can get relegated down. That would be fantastic, maybe for college football. But Tim has a question for me. Do you think prime time will take a higher paying job if he's offered it to him? Well, he was asked that question, and his answer was he likes it at Colorado because, how did he phrase it? He has more leverage or say or hand in something. But I'm sure if dollars and the cents came and they put cash down, he would bounce. But yeah, and then Prime is loyal to one person. Nothing wrong with that, but he has no ties to Colorado. No, he has no ties to Colorado. He is a mercenary, guys. He is a mercenary, and Wet Blanket is so right. This confirmed my fears. The Big 12 is screwed. Now, Jackson Johnson says they're not as screwed as the ACC. Jackson, I didn't think that either. I thought they're in better shape. But with the ACC getting just a little bit more, that worries me a bit, Jackson. I'd like to hear what you have to say on that, because before I didn't have the worry, because I thought what was going to happen is Florida State was going to jump ship because they have the lawsuit. I thought North Carolina would follow suit and then Clemson. But we don't know now. But Wet Blanket also says ACC makes more than the Big 12. Yes, Wet Blanket, you are so right. I mean, they do. They make more money, and it's not a better product. Clemson was garbage until Dabo came there, and they were even garbage in West Virginia, beat them 70 to whatever in the Orange Bowl. They kind of righted the ship. They have a national championship. They've done a few good things over the past 10 years. But, that program in Greenville is no better than your TCU or your Kansas State, or BYU. BYU has won a national championship, not recently, but back in
84.
84. I mean, I'm really pulling back memory lane there, but so if you're just going by national championship, shoot. But we've had TCU played for national championship and lost, but so West Virginia's played for national championship and lost. But I don't know what blanket. I think at $2 million doesn't seem like a lot, but like Joey said, that difference will pay a ball coach, or some of the staff. They're making
that
$4 or $5
$2 million
million, still,
extra. That couple $1 million extra for the ACC. Let's just think about that for a second. Some of this equipment they buy that they need to buy is $100,000, right? Well, now all of a sudden they can buy 20 pieces of equipment that West Virginia can't buy, right?
I have a $600 helmet up there for a high schooler,
right?
Guys,
there's just certain things that they'll be able to. That $2 million, it may not sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things when you're saying 40 million per team and 50 million per team, but it does make a difference when there's just a couple $1 million extra for another team than there is for somebody else.
Especially when there's travel.
Equipment.
When you're traveling, like West Virginia's traveling, their expenditures for that are a lot more than, say, those teams that are in the Midwest that only travel maybe 400 or 500 miles, because every team that West Virginia plays is a 3-hour flight. It's
and there used to be some per diem. There used to be some per diem in there from the Big 12 for West Virginia, which made West Virginia one of the highest paid teams in the Big 12, just simply because they help make up the cost.
That helps out a little bit.
But here's the thing about that. I don't know, since they've signed this new contract, right? And they've got this new TV deal, and we brought in Cincinnati and UCF. I don't know if that still stands true, that West Virginia's going to get that extra money anymore. So it may not be. They may not be getting the extra money for travel now. It wasn't a lot, but it was an extra few million a year. It was an extra 2 or 3 million a year, and that made a big difference.
Joey, what show do you have going on tomorrow?
So tomorrow night, Friday night, we will have a West Virginia live show, right here on West Virginia channel and on the Big 12 channel. We will go West Virginia live at 8 o'clock. That's on 8 o'clock on Friday nights. I hope everyone will tune in with me and join me for that. Shane, hey, how about you? You able to come over and be on there with us?
I don't have anything going on tomorrow. I might be able to pop on there at 8 o'clock for a little while, at least for half an hour or so.
That sounds great.
That sounds like a plan. That'd be a lot of fun. So Joey and me are doing another show too, fan to fan. It's a little different. You get a little bit of football, a little bit of pop culture. We're still trying to, sharpen our pencil there to figure out, what we're going to be, sketching. So join us
on our new channel though,
as we explore together. So, John Kelly, thanks for coming on. I think you're going to have Womack looking at, Womack's a good guy to look into more private ventures and stuff for individual teams too. I would like to see them really utilize rivalries get a sponsorship for the backyard brawl, or a sponsorship for, say like the Utah playing BYU, have it mean something, kind of like a bowl game within a season. But John Kelly, you're spot on, brother.
Yeah. Now we want to tell you our new show. I don't have a link to the channel, and I now have no way to get it right now. But our new show over on our channel, Shane and I started the channel. It's completely different than this stuff here. I promise you're going to see a different side of me that is going to surprise you. I've been working on a skit, having some fun, making some jokes. Even going to make fun of West Virginia Mountaineers. I promise you that. We will have some fun on there.
Yeah,
we're going to do all kinds of stuff over there
in Pennsylvania. So, be prepared to see what real Pitt fans look like.
So preseason champions Ohio says it is wild that teams like Rutgers are in the Big Ten. Almost everyone had preferred WVU as an addition from the old Big East. Just location and TVPs mattered back then. Yeah, but you got to remember that's where the Big Ten's always been. You have to have AAU status. West Virginia did not have AAU status. And back in 2011, it was unheard of. There was nobody going to the Big Ten unless you had AAU status. There
Yeah.
was nobody that was chosen happening, and so we've never had a chance for the Big Ten. West Virginia has never had a single chance to be in the Big Ten at all.
Right. See,
We have
preseason
had opportunities for
champions.
the ACC and SEC, but
Yeah.
not the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah. We almost made it to the SEC, but at the last minute they picked Missouri instead of us. But preseason champions, West Virginia has a thing called the Promise Scholarship. So if you have over a 3.0 and you're from the state of West Virginia, you get to go to that college. Okay. So with that being said, they don't have the AAU status as a research institute, but they have one of the highest amounts of Rhodes Scholars. So that's kind of strange, but it is a good place. It's a good place to go to school, and so good people. But no, they don't have that status, so they're getting snubbed. But you're right. Back in the day when it was Syracuse, Penn State, West Virginia, like you always scheduled like Ohio State and Pitt would play Ohio State, Pitt play West Virginia, and Boston College would play, before the Big East, it was just wide open. It was a lot more fun, I thought. Notre Dame would always be playing Penn State every other year or guys,
Yeah.
it's not like that anymore. But it is what it is. We will be here to keep you up to date on what we think as fans, how we're going to try to, I try not to prep too much before this because I try to work through it with you. So, I read a little bit, try to follow what comes up on TikTok or what comes up in my feed, but I want to figure these things out as a fan, learn with you, and I love being able to talk with all of you. We love interacting with you, so continue to bring the comments and shoot us any emails you have questions, and like and subscribe. Joey, I'll tell you what, man, tonight went fast. It was a great show. I can't believe
Yeah.
it's
Well,
almost
before we get out of here, we've got to do a couple of things here. There's a couple of things I
Yes,
want to
sir.
go over with everybody. So before we get out of here, first off, let's pay a bill. What do you say? So
let's do
tonight's
it.
broadcast, Big 12 at the Voice of College Football, is brought to you in part by Aura. For all your cybersecurity needs, just type in aura.com/Mark Rogers and get you a 2-week free trial, completely free. I promise you, there's no gimmick to this. You get 2 weeks completely free, and they will search you out. They found me on the dark web along with my social security number and most of my passwords for my bank accounts and things like that. I have 4 banks, and 3 of the passwords were on the dark web. And or I was able to find those, shut those down for me. And plus, on top of that, even after your free trial is up, Aura is only like $11-12 a month. And you get a VPN, you get all that cybersecurity. It's amazing. It really is amazing. I highly recommend it for everybody. And I'm not just saying that. I would say that if they weren't a sponsor of this channel. Also, very, very important here. I had a meeting with Mark yesterday. Mark Rogers, everybody knows him, the voice of college football. Mark and I have a meeting every week, sometimes a couple of meetings a week. This week we started discussing some future plans and some future things for the channel. We do have some big stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a state of the voice of college football address from Mark Rogers. That's going to give the state of this channel and where we're at and what our goals are and what we hope to accomplish. We will also tell you about our merchandise store, tell you about all that. But we're also going to do something this off season that it's going to be kind of fun. I promise that a lot of you are going to enjoy this. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you like your team, if you're a fan of your team, you're going to be there for the state of the Voice of College Football address. When he does that here in a couple of weeks. He's going to do it right after March Madness. When March Madness is over, he'll have his state of the Voice of College Football, and he will announce this big thing that we're going to have going on, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you will have a great opportunity to support your team in a very big way, and even if your team can't win a national championship like my team, West Virginia, we might be able to find a way to make them a winner, right? So, All right, guys. That's all I have. Shane, you have anything else for us, brother?
No, guys, thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow night on at 8 o'clock with Joey. We're gonna have a great time.
That's right. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, guys. Mountaineers Live. Maybe I'll get a hold of maybe a football player or two of the past and bring them on the show with us as well. Well, Brian Drozback's on vacation at the beach, but maybe I can talk him into coming to us live from the beach and give us an update from the beach.
There you go.
So,
Where's
all
he
right,
eating
guys.
at?
Everyone have a great night. We do appreciate everybody that came in tonight. John Kelly, I'm going to tell you right now, buddy. John Kelly's a great guy. I love John Kelly. John's been to my house a couple of times. He's come to eat dinner with us and everything. John's a great guy. Really super nice. Got a great show that he does on a podcast on a television network. John, I don't know if you're a moderator in here or not, but you know, I want you to be able to post your link if you can to your show, or maybe somebody can post it if you know it. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night. Love all of you. We will be back with you guys next Thursday night, but only on the Big 12 channel. Remember that. We will not be on the West Virginia channel next Thursday night. Also, the Mountaineer Fan Zone show, we are no longer going to do that since we've started our new show, and we are doing the Mountaineer Live show this through the week. We will not be doing Mountaineer Fan Zone show anymore. It was getting to where we had too many shows on network. It was clogging us up, and we decided to just do away with that one and go from there. So anyway, guys, love you. Everyone have a great night, and we will see you next week.